LinkedIn business pages. We all have a sense that they exist. We have a sense that we probably should be using them better than we use them. But one thing that I've found is that not many people, and I include myself in that, know how to use these strategically. And that's why I was really kind of selfish in my guest choice for today. I asked Michelle Raymond to join us so that she could give us an expert's idea about how we use LinkedIn business pages. So Michelle, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us.
You are absolutely welcome, Erica. And don't worry if your listeners are thinking, yeah, what are those LinkedIn pages things? That's probably the majority of people. I'm probably one of the rarities. So I appreciate being able to have this conversation because I think there's a real opportunity for people to leverage their page a little bit better. And I've got a few cool tips that I'm going to share today about how you can do that, even if it's never going to be your actual priority on LinkedIn, but there are ways that it can help you grow your personal brand as well. So I can't wait to share.
Oh, that's so juicy. I love that. So let's start at a high level. What exactly is the LinkedIn business page and how does it differ? I mean, most of us, when we think of LinkedIn, we think of our own personal profile. So how does the LinkedIn business page differ from what we're typically going to think about?
Yeah, so when you go onto LinkedIn, you're right. Most of us set up a LinkedIn profile, probably gone for a job on LinkedIn at some stage in the past. And ultimately, we do all of our efforts on our LinkedIn profile. And then there's this thing called company pages. And with company pages, when you go on there, imagine if you have a business, so that can be a business, a not-for-profit, a government organization, a university, all kinds of different organizations can set up a company page and think about it as the place where, as a company, you build your company brand. So different to building your personal brand over on your profile, but ultimately, when you look at the features, there's a lot of crossovers. So the only main difference is, and I've got to get this one out early, otherwise people won't listen for the rest of the show. If you are someone that is sitting there shaking your head going, they're a waste of time because you don't get as many reach and impressions. So if I was to do a post on my company page or a post on my profile, chances are every day of the week, if I post on my profile, even if there's the same number of connections and followers, it will get seen by more people. So historically, people have said, company pages are a waste of time. Don't bother with them. Do all of your effort over on your personal profile, which in theory sounds great. And I definitely don't disagree with that. That is the facts. But ultimately, why I think company pages are important, especially if you have employees, is what if you help that superstar employee build up their personal brand and you're doing so much effort through their account and you're getting more reach and impressions? What do you do, Erica, when they decide to leave the company? Because I've been that person. I built a community that was 5,000 strong. Nobody in the industry had one like it. And then what happened? I changed jobs and I took it with me, and the company I left had nothing to fall back on. And so I want people to start looking at going, yes, this is how we can use our profiles. And yes, we may get more reach and impressions, but there's this whole other side of LinkedIn called company pages. If we cut that off, it's a missed opportunity. Just think about it. Yes, you won't get the same amount of impressions in general. And I'm talking, kind of like for like, but ultimately there's so many other ways that you can use it. And I can't wait, as I said, to share a bit more about that.
And it's interesting that you said that, because what I thought you were going to say when you started talking about why, even though it might get more likes and impressions, the direction I thought you were going to go in is yes, but if we as business owners do our job well and we promote not ourselves, but our organization, and then somebody comes to LinkedIn wanting to know more about our organization, they're not necessarily going to look for Erica Dickstein. They're going to look for Spring Insight. And even if we don't get as many people who do that, those are really motivated viewers. So one of those viewers is worth 20, 40, 50 people who are just sort of casually looking on LinkedIn and see your.
Yeah, absolutely. They are high intent viewers. They are the ones that possibly discovered your LinkedIn company page over on Google. So maybe they cross paths with your business somewhere else. They did a search, they go to Google. Of course, your website comes up. It's not going to say anything bad about your business, right? Like no one's website in the history of websites has ever said we're a pretty rubbish company to work with. Like, let's be clear, that's not going to happen. So how else can I find out about you? Because we're all good at researching / professional stalking, call it what you want. So because LinkedIn's a trusted platform, it's the platform where you come to do business, then it's really favored by Google as well. So your LinkedIn company page typically will come up in probably the first couple of results after your web page. Now, if I'm doing my research, I want to find out more, I'm literally clicking on that, going across to your company page and having a look around. Now, what am I finding? Are you rolling out the red carpet for me and creating a great impression? Or is it the proverbial ghost town with tumbleweeds where I wonder if your business is even open anymore? And so we really must control, impression that we're giving out to those high intent visitors. And the other thing is think about your company page more as a destination that people are coming to do that research rather than something that's showing up in the feed as much as personal posts. So you quite often don't know people are visiting and they may not engage with your content, but be sure to know that they are making a mental note of everything that they're finding or possibly not finding, which can be more a problem.
Such a great point. So right now we're talking about sort of the obvious in terms of what small businesses or subject matter experts get wrong. The obvious is, well, they just don't use it at all, or they set it up and it becomes, as you so eloquently put it, a digital ghost town. But what are some other things that you see subject matter experts or our audience, government contractors and other subject matter experts? What are some ways that you see that going awry?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. Mostly they get ignored, and if you've got a time poor subject matter expert that has a choice about where to spend their time on LinkedIn, then every day of the week I'm telling them go and post content through your personal profile. Hands down, you won't get any arguments from me. But here's the thing. If you want to grow your personal profile, you can actually use your company page to help you do that. And for some people, I remember like when I was starting out, it was just me and my business. I was brand new. I think that was when you and I first crossed paths many years ago. And, nobody knew who I was. Nobody, kind of knew the company that I'd set up. And so what I started to do was build some followers on my company page and start to build that brand. And so every time I posted, my company page was my number one cheerleader. And it was coming across, liking my posts, commenting on my posts. Sometimes now we can repost things and really just connecting those two and leveraging it, because nobody goes to a company page and says, that company's only got one person in it. No, you look exactly the same size as massive corporations. You get access to all the same features. And so it can really strengthen your brand. So everybody talks about employee advocacy. So that's about getting employees to talk about the brand. So I like to flip it and I like to talk about page advocacy. And it's time for the page to support the individuals to build their brand. So it's the other way around. So it becomes your biggest cheerleader. And this is what I want to say to people. It's not static. Stop trying to worry about whether it's showing up in the feed or not. There's so much more to brand building, and brand is where you build demand. And it's so powerful that if you just, zoom out for a minute and stop looking and focusing on one little area called impressions, you can see that there's a much bigger opportunity. And there's probably one more. Quite often when I've worked with subject matter experts, often introverted experts that don't like the spotlight on them. So there's the general tendency on LinkedIn to say, everybody go and post on your profile, and an assumption that everybody wants to do that. Now, we know that the stats are 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 people that will never do that. So what do? You can actually find that quite often they're more comfortable posting over on the brand page because it's not their name going out. So I also like to think it's like the training wheels to help people build up their confidence until they can come out from behind the logo, and everybody starts in different places on LinkedIn. So if that's a way to help someone get started, or you can get some help with a third party to manage your page for you, I've helped so many businesses with that. We start on the page with a plan to getting employees eventually coming out from behind the curtain and sharing their voices, but it's not that easy. So if you're someone that's sitting there going, yeah, I know I should. Erica's always telling me I should be out there, I should have a presence, but the thought of it just makes me want to rock in the corner. And this can be another way that people can get started. So hopefully that's a couple of different ways to look at company pages that will help some of these experts.
You totally blew my mind, actually, with the idea of having the company page, just liking and commenting on the individual, which, even if you're just one person, that's worth the price of admission right there for that piece, for me at least. So
it's so simple. It was how I grew my brand more and quicker, was literally using the two of them to piggyback and help each other. And it's that 1 + 1 = 3, by working together and not cutting off the things that were available to me on the page. Now, full confession, I'm a global expert on pages. I've written the world's first and only book. I speak on international stages, and sometimes I ignore my company page. Shh, don't tell anyone, right? Because sometimes it's not where I should be focusing my time and effort, and that's totally okay as well. So, it's about balancing. There are times when I can put more effort into it. There are times when I'm like, whoa, my business is going crazy. I've got to look after my clients. Where's the best bang for my buck and time on LinkedIn? Right now it's on my profile, but then we go back to building the two of them together. So yeah, there's no right or wrong when it comes to LinkedIn, but just think, how can I use, it's almost 50% of LinkedIn is this company page and all the tools we have. How can I do that instead of cutting it off and missing out on those opportunities?
So while I think that we are persuasive and this is going to be a fantastic video, I don't know that anybody is going to immediately drop everything and rededicate their entire business to company business pages, particularly since you just said, that not necessarily to do that. Can you contextualize what the minimum viable product might look like for a company who says, okay, Michelle is making a really good point. We should do something. What's that something?
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that because you almost took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say the minimum amount that you need to do on your company page. Absolutely have one set up, right? So no matter the size of your company, having a company page set up if you're running a business or an organization is a must. Right? Now, why is that? You're going to go back and update your LinkedIn profile and tie that work experience back to it. So all of a sudden you go from having little ghost town logo to your company logo. And again, it adds legitimacy to your business and stops people thinking, is that a real business? Is it just like a little side hustle? And quite often there's some amazing experts out there that other people are walking away with an impression going, I don't even know if they're real. I don't know if this is like a proper business. So having the company page can really help you, just basically take that off the table. Like, yes, I'm a real business. Here's my company page. Make sure that it's 100% completed. Information is correct. And we're writing it from the perspective of, if I land there, do I immediately know I'm in the right place, that your business solves my problem and what makes you different to anyone else? And if you keep the about section and things along those lines, it makes the person that visits more likely to stay and hang around and find out what other things you've got to say. As far as content goes, just keep it ticking over. For most businesses will be more than enough. Now, that can look different for everybody. For some clients that I work with, it's once a week. For others, it might be once every few weeks. And it just means that if someone lands there, there is something current, and that something current gives the impression of, yes, this person's doing it. Now, if you're time poor, like 2 hands up for most people, if I ask them, do you have time to be doing additional work? I'm yet to find anyone's like, yeah, I'm just sitting around doing nothing. But if you're time poor, a cool way to do this is post on your personal profile. Easy. We said that we agree that that's a good use of your time. time. And then down in the bottom corner, you can always click share and you can repost that. And we've now got this like little cool feature, which you may not have ever noticed on the same line, that if you go to the far left on that same line where you like and comment and share, there's a little, normally it's your photo. It's called the identity switcher. And the identity switcher is a cool name for, if you click on it, all the company pages that you're associated with. So if you manage multiple pages, they'll all show up. You can switch it to the company logo, and then every action you take is as the company brand. So switch it over to the company, go across to share and hit repost or repost with thoughts. That automatically creates a post over on your company page. You haven't had to do any more work and people can see the best of the best. So I use that when I've got a post that I think is really good. I don't want it to just disappear down the feed. I move it to what I call my greatest hits library, AKA the company page.
I love that. And I'll add one more thing that we've run into with the clients that we serve. So as I mentioned, we work with a lot of government contractors, and they have this, they're different in one way, which is that when they get these contracts, they can grow very, very quickly. So you'll be talking to an organization that started out, maybe they had 2 people 6 months ago, and now they have 15. And a lot of times that means their website has not, we will come in and we'll do their website later on, but their website has not kept up. And so you might wonder, are they a real company? Well, by the way, the LinkedIn company page is a great way to see that. Make sure as you're doing your minimum viable product that people aren't just saying where they work, but they're actually linking to that company page, because now when you go to the company page, you can see, oh, wow, look at that. They have like 15, 20 people. And look at the expertise that these people have. So it really does sort of create the effect that you talked about, the 1 + 1 = 6, because you are creating value in this way by seeing, look who they really are.
And the other point that you bring up there is that websites often get created, and there are, once every few years we update them. It's always that job in my list of, I'll get to that. I'll get to that. But your company page, it can be quite dynamic and updated much easier. It could be what's going on that day, that week. You might be out at an event. You might have just, like I said, be celebrating that new contract that you just won. There's all kinds of little ways and easy content that we can do. It doesn't have to be war and peace. It doesn't have to be huge. Quite often, the main thing that I would say with your company page content is bring the humans out. We've all got phones in our hands that snap photos of anything and everything. Use that for your company page. The more it feels like a human's behind it, and we get to know the people in the business, the more we feel connected and the more we trust, and the easier it is to do business like that. So, and the other thing you raised, the more people you've got in the business, it almost becomes like it's the team huddle. It's where we all come together, and it's the place where we're putting on the same jerseys, we're all playing for the same team, and we're creating that impression again. So think about your page as that. So the other thing that pages do is when people are looking for jobs and choosing who they want to work with, you can create an impression that attracts the best of the best and maybe repels those that don't share the same company values. And so values are a really important piece of company pages as well. Why? Because, 65% of LinkedIn right now is Gen Z. They care about what you stand for, the kind of business you are, and the values that you have as a business, and are you actually walking the talk? And so if you can demonstrate that over on your page, again, your goal for your page may not just be business growth, it may actually be attracting and engaging the best talent. So, and if you have the best people work for you, then hopefully you're winning more business, and then it just becomes this really amazing self-fulfilling circle that it just keeps going around and getting better and better over time. And I think that's why some of those companies that you're talking about grow so quickly, because they do that so well.
Yeah, and that is a great point about talent acquisition. That really is something that I know a lot of our clients really use that for. So such a good point. I feel like I could continue talking about this for absolutely forever and ever. And this has been so productive. I know I've actually learned a lot from this conversation. So Michelle, thank you so much for coming here and sharing your brilliance with us. And for anybody who is watching, thank you so much also. So Michelle, how can people find you? Aside from Down Under, but more digitally, how can people find you?
Are you sure you don't want to come and visit Sydney? It's beautiful at this time of year. So definitely worth the 20 hours of flying that it would probably take most people to get here. But if you don't want to do that or can't do that right now, please come and connect with me on LinkedIn. No surprises there. If you search for Michelle J. Raymond, that's the easiest way to find me in amongst all of the other Michelle Raymonds that are on there. So yeah, Michelle J. Raymond, please let me know that you listen to this so I can let Erica know that it's been cool to meet some of the listeners. But we appreciate it. And, as I say, every podcast I'm on, don't forget, if you're listening to this somewhere, leave a review or a rating, because it really helps people to keep going. It gives people like Erica a pep in their step. So we appreciate anybody that does that.
Oh, you took my next line. You took my next call to action. And also please subscribe to our channel, just so that, again, pep in our step, help people find us. And if you are one of the people that Michelle referred to, who only does your site every few years, and you need to get it off of your plate, please come to our website, springinsight.com, and sign up for a free consultation. And we would love to chat with you about the work that we do. Thank you, Michelle.
Amazing. And happy updating your company pages. That's the piece of homework out of today. Go and give it like a little bit of love. You don't have to spend hours, but just give it a little bit of love so it's refreshed. And if someone lands there, they're getting that great first impression.
Awesome. Thank you.